a vow there, isn't it?
Sound check.
G'day, welcome back to another vocal analysis here at Voice Essentials. My name is Dr. Dan, and today we are reviewing the marvelous Whitney Houston. When I was growing up, back in the 80s, there were three female singers that kind of ruled the world. And they were Whitney Houston, Celine Dion, and Mariah Carey. And can I tell you, during the 80s, it kind of changed in the 90s, but during the 80s, Whitney was my favourite. She just had this real strength to her voice. It was just magical. As I said, it changed during the 90s. I kind of fell in love with Celine Dion, but there's always been a place in my heart for Whitney. Today, can I tell you, I found this recording and I've ummed and ahed as to whether I review it or not, because unfortunately it doesn't present, in my humble opinion, Whitney at her very best. As you may know, during the 92, 93, 94 era of The Bodyguard, Whitney's voice did fall into disrepair. She had nodules. This is well reported. But also some of her lifestyle choices really had an impact on the condition of her voice. The performance we're going to be watching today is of her classic, I Will Always Love You. From what I can determine, this is from the 1999 VH1 Divas concert. And that's an important framing for the review today, because she really does sell it to the crowd as a diva, as she deservedly should. But as we go along, as we point things out, I want to state from the very beginning that, you know, we are going to be highlighting some of the challenges that her voice is facing. It is still a marvelous performance by a marvelous performer, but nonetheless, you know, the vocal condition is not what it was. So let's dive in and let's respectfully go through the performance.
If I should stay, I will only be in your way.
Right there, it's an insight into what she was prior to 92, 93, 94. You know, the clarity of tone, the beautiful use of riff and run. Remembering that many of her vocal choices come from a historical background of singing gospel, singing church-based gospel voice. And so there's this almost this sense of call and response that comes with Whitney's performances, which I personally quite enjoy.
So I go, but I know I'll think of you every step of the way.
That's pretty. This is where she really teases the crowd as the diva. Can I say, it's from this point forward that I think the voice starts to just struggle a bit. I'm not sure, and maybe you could leave your comments in the comment section below. I'm not sure how much singing she's done prior to this song at this concert, whether she's been up there for, maybe she's already done a full concert and this is the encore. I'm not sure where this sits, but The Voice is now going to kind of show us a little bit of struggle. And I think that's based in some of the historical wear and tear that it's experienced, but also perhaps the wear and tear it's currently experiencing, which we'll talk a bit more to in a moment.
I will always love you. I will always love you. Darling, I love you. Bittersweet memory.
Well, ever The Voice is sitting in this sort of really medium value, sort of in its prime position. It's able to phonate with a level of clarity that I think is indicative of what we love about Whitney's voice. It's got this beautiful warmth and mezzo vocal value to it in that sort of true pop ballad. It is valid as well. Pop ballad kind of form.
That is all I am taking with me. So goodbye, but please don't cry. We both know I'm not what you need. And I will always love you. I will always love you. Yes, I will. Oh, yes, I will.
Now, in my humble opinion, we don't get to hear enough 90s sax anymore, do we? This is cool.
I hope life treats you kind, and I hope you have all you dreamed of, and I wish you joy and happiness, but above all this,
We're starting to hear that little bit of slither of constriction starting to come out through the tone. It's slight, and being the diva that she is covering it, almost using it, if you will, to build intensity, to build emotion, which, it certainly is. And, by the time we get to the end, the audience is on its feet, and rightly so. This has got an intensity to it. But the intensity is coming at a cost to her voice. That is something that we as singers need to be, I think, aware of, is that your audience, audiences want you to bleed for them. The challenge is if your vocal folds do bleed for them, that's only going to cost you, not the audience. The audience will have had a great time. They go home that night and tell all their friends about how great the singer was, and tomorrow you wake up with no voice. And this is the cost that singers need to really weigh up. Are you willing to lay it out all on the table for one performance, for a number of performances, at the cost of your own vocal health? Can I tell you, you don't need to. Remember, this performance is 24 years ago, and we know so much more about the voice. For example, the other thing that will have contributed almost certainly to Whitney's vocal deterioration was not only her tobacco use, was not only the fact that she used to do marijuana laced with cocaine. These are all really, in my humble opinion, very poor personal choices. But the other thing that we know now about the voice is its need for rest, its need to not be constantly on and up. Back in the 80s and the 90s, these ladies, and I think Mariah is another good example of this, didn't get the vocal rest, you know, whether it be 1 or 2 days of vocal rest in a week or downtime over a tour, whatever it has been, these singers did not get the vocal rest that they needed. Vocal rest goes so far towards maintaining a sense of vocal health, the sustainability of a voice. Let's come back here and just have a listen, see if you can hear just that little slither of in the tone. It's very slight, but it's starting to present itself, and it does in fact increase as we go along.
You have all you dreamed of, and I wish you joy and happiness. But above all this, I wish you love.
Here comes the big Whitney moment.
And
Here comes the audience starting to stand up. Now, you might be saying to, but she can still do big notes, Dr. Dan. She's still able to create this big belt sound. The real test of a voice that is tired, that might be experiencing wear and tear, is actually, in one sense, not doing big, powerful notes. The voice, if we can load it up enough, can often come to the party and give us the sustained value that we're looking for, that intensity. Is because the pressure, the push of the vocal folds due to the increased subglottal pressure, so what's called phonatory threshold pressure, and the larynx going into almost a valved version of itself where it's really pressing, is able to hold the sound. It's when we have to back off into really light stuff, and I'm going to give credit where credit's due. We get to the end of this performance, wait until you hear it, where we get to hear Whitney able to still give us a clean, light tone. And I want to acknowledge that. It's not, in my humble opinion, what we used to hear from her back in the 80s. Just have a listen as we go on to how the voice has to be placed under more and more load to be maintained. Hear the voice just not quite coping in that. And notice that the lift of the shoulders there, she's having to still, to even access that upper register note, she's having to still maintain quite a bit of muscular support, muscular structure. She's doing that by lifting the shoulders, maintaining that sense of muscular intensity. Have a watch. Gotta go there again. Interesting use of vowel there, isn't it? I'm not really sure why she had to go to that shaping. Maybe she didn't trust the voice to give her the note, and she was able to modify the vowel to establish the note. Have a listen. Interesting. This is where we get to really see that black gospel call and response. It's kind of the calling to the congregation, making declarations. I think this is quite cool.
I will, said I will, Lord, love you.
That entrance onto that flute note right at the top, you can hear the voice just grab it. It starts off quite with a breathy onset, and stylistically it works. But again, I think we're hearing that vocal health implication. Have a listen.
Lord, love you.
But she gets there.
Darling, I love you. Oh, I'll always.
Beautiful last note to finish. Nails it. It's almost like a religious experience for some of the people in the audience. She was wonderful. Again, I like I said, I hesitated at providing this analysis because I don't want to be disrespectful to, firstly, to someone who has passed, nor someone who gave us so much in the way of their art and their craft as Whitney did. But it's an education to us. Remember, this is an educational channel. This is where we learn to sing. There are things that we can learn from the greats, and it's not only in observing people doing all the right things. If you want to see someone doing all the right things at the moment, go and watch Morissette. Oh my goodness. She is the modern day of if you want to learn to sing mostly sort of pop ballad, Morissette's the person you want to go and watch. And back in the 80s, Whitney was the person you would want to watch because she was doing it all. But there were some behaviors that crept into her life and some requirements. The vocal rest thing cannot be underestimated as how impactful the amount of load, the amount of dose that the voice had to give out. And I think the performance that we've reviewed today kind of gives us an insight into some of that. I hope you've enjoyed today's vocal analysis. I hope you've been able to take it, in the manner and the intention, the heart that it's been done. Please, subscribe if you've enjoyed the video and leave the thumbs up. Hit the thumbs up button and also leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts about the performance today. I'm Dr. Dan. Sing well.